Welcome to the UpStreamLife.com. I am Vishal Krishna, the founder and editor. Today I've got my friend Vikas. Vikas, how are you?
I'm great, Vishal. Thanks for having me here.
So what are we here to talk about? We are here to talk about counterfeiting. It's a 3 trillion market globally. It's a 10 billion industry in India. They are cheating governments. They're cheating consumers. We don't know who these people are. But Vikas's company is fighting it. And the company is called?
Acviss.
Acviss. It's called Acviss.com. Go check them out. It's a stack that can help you protect your brand equity.
Absolutely. So what we are doing is basically ensuring that as a brand, you can protect your products from counterfeiting and more importantly, protect your consumers from buying a fake product which might be sold in your name itself. So that's what we do. Do check it out. Check us out at www.acviss.com.
So what I'm going to do now is put in the description of the website that he just said. But before that, I have to call out our sponsors. This interview is brought to you by Finverse. And Finverse is a reskilling, upskilling app in finance. It doesn't matter if you're a guitar player. It doesn't matter if you're a writer. Even if you're a BCom student, you have to go upskill, reskill, and make sure that you understand money and taxes. That's very important. So check out this interview and know more about how you can fight counterfeiting. Thank you, Vikas.
Thank you, Vishal. And thanks to
Vikas, thank you very much for being on this podcast. And you're an old friend. We've known each other for a while. But you know what is even more fascinating is you've been fighting counterfeiting for such a long time. And I've been writing about it for 2 decades.
Right.
And your journey is fascinating to me. And you tell me that counterfeiting is 1 lakh crores in size, almost little more than 10 billion in India. That's
Right.
1% of retail. And your company evolved from Unico label to what is Acviss now. And Acviss is the technology, it's patented.
Right.
Quickly tell me a little about Acviss, and then let's get into the brass tacks of fighting counterfeiting.
Firstly, thanks for having me here. I think it's been almost 6 long years. I think we've
Absolutely.
been talking to each other, met each other. So, pleasure being here. And so talking about, Acviss, the journey has been great. We started back in 2016 when I came back from the US, realized, baby products. First concern I always had when I had a 18 months old baby was like, am I getting the real genuine product or not?
Yeah, mother would think that. Right?
Absolutely. And there are stories about, especially in China, about fake baby products, right? Fake baby powders for that matter, milk powders,
Yes.
right? And that's really concerning. So the first thought that comes to your mind is what you're buying is a genuine product or not, right? And the fact that the taste, the texture, everything was different, makes you really doubt the genuinity of the product. And then we're also constructing a house, and when we brought in plywood, we found out that plywood is one of the most counterfeited products in India. It was very easy to just get one done in Kerala or other states and put a seal. So that's how we realized there is a big problem which has to be solved. And when we did our research, we found out that close to $3 trillion worth of products are counterfeited. Or rather, that's the economy, the loss to the economy that happens globally. And that's a huge number. And then we found out that's a big problem, which brands are facing in every industry, not just in electronics or your basic apparel industry or baby products, even in agriculture. You think
seeds.
of it, seeds, pesticides. One of the most counterfeited products again in India. And when it comes to seeds and pesticides, that's the emotional side as well, right? Farmers you want to make sure
it's about national pride.
Correct.
Because we're an agriculture nation.
Absolutely. And then when farmers buy fake products and they don't get the right yield, there are various other consequences. So the consequences of counterfeiting are huge. So we realized it was a great industry to be in, not just from the business perspective, but also from the social perspective. The fact that you're making a difference in somebody's life when they know that they're buying a genuine product, but instead they are actually served a fake product. Could be a drug, pharma,
Yes.
could be a seed, could be a baby powder. You get to know that, yes, you're making a difference in somebody's life. I think that was a big driver for me to start this. Also the fact that
When
we
did
had...
this begin?
So 2016, like I said, end of 2016. We started with just the idea, and we went and pitched to one of the plywood companies.
And you had a hologram back then.
Yeah, so we've been in the business of holograms since 2002 as a family. So we realized that this was a great extension to what we already had. Start a tech company around this space and grow that. So we had just a presentation. We did a presentation to one of our customers, and he really loved the product. So we had our first customer even before we had a product, right? So that was great, and we realized that there is good product market fit. We need to be in this field, and And once we had a first customer, which was a plywood customer, rest followed. We were able to onboard more plywood customers. I think the good thing about India, or rather, the bad thing about how we function as humans helped us actually get business. Herd mentality.
Yeah, because
right?
the plywood guys were struggling, right? There were a lot of fake products in that segment.
Yes, in fact, our customer whom we onboarded, they were losing close to 1 crore every month in one particular region because of fake products. They only realized that once they started using our products and they saw a jump in the revenue, and they were like, hey, I mean, looks like, we were actually doing really bad, and thanks to you, now we're able to get back the business that we really had.
No, I'm glad they gave you that feedback, that they got back, to their revenues, and they stopped by stopping counterfeiting. And let's talk about the legal aspects later. I know they would have used your technology to also understand who's counterfeiting and therefore stop that. I want to talk about how Acviss works. I mean, you've moved from a hologram to a complete tech stack. Explain that tech stack and how can brands use it?
Okay. So our first product was a uniquely encoded label, which ensures that we give a DNA to each and every physical product. So what a barcode would do or a simple label would do is just make a particular SKU unique. But that was the problem, right? If a particular SKU, just the SKU is unique, I can easily replicate that label, the design, and make a duplicate. So what we did was we wanted to make each and every product unique in itself, give it an identity which is verifiable, plus also the identity should be such that it's non-replicable, so that nobody can replicate it, duplicate it. So that's how we started. That's how our technology works. We give a unique identity to each and every product. It could be form of a simple design which sits on the existing packaging, or it could be done via a label. So our first product was on a holographic label, but now we've also evolved in doing directly on the packaging itself.
How does that work? So let me take examples. Most counterfeited products would be earplugs or earpods.
AirPods.
Right? I'm buying a box. It'll have a hologram.
Right.
But today people can counterfeit holograms also.
Yes.
But you've gone a step ahead and then said you can add technology to identify.
Correct.
But this is for the consumer or for the brand?
So the identification can be done, anybody could do it. Like you could have anybody in the supply chain do it as well. It could be
For the
your
brand,
distributor
yes.
or your retailer as well. The end goal is to make sure the consumer gets the right product as well.
Oh, so that builds their brand equity in the process.
Yes.
How do they verify?
So the first question you asked, so how it works is the label can either be on the packaging, on the box itself, or it could go on the product also, right? So we've had customers who put it on the product as well. Some of them put it on the packaging. And our label is also able to identify, our technology is also able to identify if somebody's tampered with the packaging as well. So it is tamper evident, it's non-clonable, and it's completely unique, right? So now, and it involves a lot of other parameters which are not visible to a naked eye sometimes, which makes it very difficult for somebody to replicate it. What we've also done is we built our own noise-based pattern, which is very dense. If we were to imagine, think of a very dense pattern, which for a counterfeiter to replicate that is very difficult. So that goes onto the label along with a lot of other parameters.
What's the noise-based thing? I mean, just
so it's basically how would I say it? Like, let's say think of a group of clouds, or think of let's say when you have your TV running and you have that white noise. So what we've done is we've created our own system of
to figure out if it's coming from the right
source
brands.
or right brand or not, and that goes on the packaging along with few other parameters. And those parameters could be simple visible parameters, could be invisible parameters as well. And all of that combined makes a product verifiable, makes it genuine.
So that way the consumer can return that product.
They can return it.
Also say that they're all the brand responsible, saying hey, somebody else has shipped something else. This is good for e-commerce companies.
Yes, it is. Good you brought it up. In fact, we did have a lot of interest from a couple of marketplaces in India who had this problem of fake products in return goods, right? Reverse logistics. So people would buy products, use them, or sometimes just return back fake products. Remove the label from a shirt, put it on a fake shirt, and return it back. So even for them, when I get the goods back, I can verify what I'm getting back is actually what I sold. This is also being used in cases where warranty claims happen, right? I want to know whether the product that is coming to is actually what I really sold. It's not some other product which was sold, or it was not a fake product. So I can also verify the warranty card and the product that is coming back to me. That's also a big industry which is happening, wherein A lot of problems are being seen in the case of warranty claims.
Yes.
Where, I get a product back, but it may not really be my product, or it could have been that the product which is actually coming back is out of warranty, right? So we've seen a lot of interest from our customers who wanted to make sure that the warranty itself is also protected. So those are some of the additional things that we are.
Why should Indians or consumers globally be aware of this situation of counterfeiting and hold their retail shops responsible for it? Or even the e-commerce companies, or even the brands.
Yeah, so
people don't. They buy it. They think they have. I'll tell you my experience of counterfeiting. A very old family. I mean, I love that family, and they had gifted me a Mont Blanc.
Okay.
And because they're family friends, they gifted me a Mont Blanc. And this was when I started my career.
Okay.
And I love them for doing that. But when I took it to the store to get a refill, they said it is fake.
Okay.
And I was crestfallen, but that's besides the point, right? The family had that particular model for 20 years prior to giving it to me.
Okay.
I mean, counterfeiting is really an old industry.
It is. It is old and it's grown, right?
And it has grown. You're 10 billion in India in size, 3
Correct.
trillion globally. It is a nightmare for brands.
It is, and it's the fact that post-COVID has actually become worse. I mean, because most of the brands have moved online, and it's very easy to sell fake products online these days. So the counterfeiters and counterfeiting has grown globally. The fact that the trade happens globally now, we see a lot of counterfeit products being exported from China, Turkey. These are the epicenters of counterfeit products, and a little bit from India as well, unfortunately. So your question was, how it impacts the brands, right? The brands or the consumers for that matter. Consumers really need to be aware of the fact that when I'm buying a product, I could be buying a fake product. Now, it has a lot of consequences. One of them is, let's say if you're buying a drug, a pharma, medicine, I don't need to explain the consequences in that case. And you could be consuming a fake drug which could have a lot of effects on your
implications on your life, for example. Yes.
I've already mentioned about agro products. The kind of implication it has.
It can destroy the soil, and the yield may be bad.
Yes, and also other products, electronics. We've seen fake products, electrical products being sold, and it's led to shocks and deaths as well. So
automobile products too.
Automobile products too, and you're buying a fake product, you put it in your car or your automobile, and then you realize that the accident happened because of that. So the consequences are plenty. People sometimes think counterfeiting is harmless. It's not.
Yeah, people think it's a good substitute, just like we watch pirated movies,
Absolutely.
for example. But it is. There is a consequence somewhere.
There are huge consequences. One, there are direct consequences like we already discussed, and there are indirect consequences. The one is a lot of this money which comes out of counterfeiting ends up funding terrorism,
child trafficking,
human trafficking,
That's
drugs.
crazy, man.
And not just that, also what happens is now the government is not getting their share of the taxes because counterfeiters
that means they are cheating us.
Cheating everybody, all of us. So the counterfeiters, obviously are not going to pay taxes. All the money transactions are going to be done under the table, right? So the consequences are huge, and they are direct and indirect, and we need to be really aware of that. The fact that direct consequences can take somebody's life. Even the indirect consequences can take somebody's life as well.
There are 2-3 ways I'm looking at it. Every young brand watching it out there, that when you start, create a process for fighting counterfeiting.
Yes.
And you can help them with that.
Right.
Right? How can you help with that? Well, step by step, please.
Absolutely. So, be it any brand, if you're selling online or offline, doesn't matter. So, our products work across channels. Our products work offline in terms of, we ensure, like I already explained, in terms of physical product, we ensure that nobody can duplicate it or copy it by giving a unique identity. Online, what we do is we help ensure we basically scan the internet, your marketplaces, your websites, and look for any kind of impersonation, or even social media channels for that matter. Look for any kind of impersonation. If somebody's copied your images, or somebody might have put a fake listing on a marketplace, various marketplaces. And sometimes even people create fake websites. So there was a recent case where, if I may take the name of the brand, Boat, Aman himself posted saying,
yeah, it's public information. So Aman did post this.
So there were 100 fake websites, basically trying to sell fake boat products, and
but they were not boat products.
They were not. So they are not boat websites itself, and I'm sure there are a lot of them are fake products. Electronics, I'm sure, heavily counterfeited market again, right? So there are fake websites being set up. Sometimes people just get duped because they do take the money, but they don't even sell you a product, right? You heard about stories of people getting bricks and other products, right?
And I've heard those stories,
right?
That a package comes in, but it's a brick,
right?
And it's not the phone.
It's not the phone. Sometimes people buy AirPods thinking it's a genuine Apple AirPod or a genuine AirPod, and then they end up getting a fake AirPod. So,
what do I get if I sign up with you as a brand? One is you are going to do research in the ecosystem, say, okay, this is what you consult with them first, and then say, subscribe to my technology, the Unico label, hologram, and then you also say the technology, the noise technology that you have, and you have 6 services. I want you to touch upon that, please.
Correct. So, so let me first talk about what are the various services we have, and then I'll explain how we could help a brand. So one of our major product is called Certify, which is basically certifying each product. So that's where the noise parameter comes in, or the uniqueness of the product comes in.
This is for electronic brands.
It could be for any brand.
Okay.
So we use Certify across industries. And then we have Unico label, which is similar to Certify but on a hologram. So it adds an additional layer of a hologram as well. And then we have something called as Bonus. So what Bonus does is it solves the problem of a lot of D2C players when they have no visibility towards who their consumers are, because a lot of these marketplaces don't share that data. Plus it also helps you create a loyal user base as well. So Bonus sits on top of Certify, wherein anyways the product is made unique, and Bonus then helps people get rewards and loyalty as well. Then what we have is something called as Assist. Assist, like I already mentioned, is a warranty management solution. Basically, to verify that the warranty claims are genuine, and also be able to backtrack the product.
Okay, if the retailer sold you something, you have to make sure that the brand warranty exists.
And you can verify that that's a genuine warranty card as well. Plus, when the brands get the product back, they can also verify that it's a genuine warranty claim.
Okay.
Not just that, they'll be able to backtrack it to which manufacturer it came from, because not all manufacturers, not all brands make their own products, right? So they'll also be able to backtrack it to understand where it came from, which factory it was manufactured at. So they can take necessary steps to get it fixed. Then we have Origin. So Origin is a track and trace system which works across various supply chains and helps a user, or rather a consumer, trace the product right from the origin. It could be a farm or it could be a manufacturing plant, all the way to the consumer. So they get to know how what steps it took, what various nodes it passed through when it finally came to them. So it helps us understand the product, whether it went to the right hands or not. Especially very important for commodities. So if you look at coffee, tea, etc., there is a certification called GI, Geographically Indicated Product, right? So which basically means if a particular product comes from a region, we get to know, so there's a premium to that, because if it comes from a particular region, like for example, Coorg coffee, right? So it comes from Coorg.
Identify the origin also.
Right, so I can identify the origin. Plus also the fact it's coming from Coorg, there's a premium to it. So a lot of people take advantage of that. They sell non-Coorg coffee or non-GM coffee.
I've seen that.
Coffee, right?
Everywhere it's cropping up now, right?
Yes.
Coorg coffee or Coorg spices, but you don't know what's really original.
Absolutely. And so that's where Origin comes in. It helps us trace how the product was made, which farm it was taken from, then which processing it was processed at, and finally how it reached the consumer. So it's basically a track and trace system.
These are the 6 products.
So one more is left, is TrueVis.
Oh yeah, we've done 5. Yes, TrueVis by Acviss, that's the product.
Correct. So TrueVis is the online anti-counterfeiting tool, which basically scans the net to help you understand if any impersonation is happening online. So these are our 6 products. Now when a brand comes on board, now not all of them will need all 6. Right? We'll understand first what is really needed. And also within each product, there would be layers of, levels of what is really needed. So for example, Certify, the product I spoke to you about, we call it shell lock, which is our most secure, design, I would call it. And at the lowest form, it would be some kind of a 2D code for that matter. So based on how much they can afford, the budget, what level of counterfeiting is happening, we recommend the product to them. And also, within our gamut of products, we'll recommend which one they really need. Okay. So once a brand comes on board, for us it's a single platform, and for them also it's a single platform. It's not in silos. They're able to understand how each channel works.
This is really nice.
And how it works.
I'm really pleased that you've graduated into these 6 services, start from that one product hologram to this. Who's the beneficiary, the CMO or the CFO in this case? Who would you sell the product to?
So we would sell the product typically, it's varied, to be honest with you. So there are companies, actually now what's happened is they've created a specific position called brand protection. which because we've seen a lot of companies face this issue. So they've actually created a separate
division
for
counterfeiting,
that. Yes.
counterfeiting officer, some
Yes.
chief counterfeiting officer.
It's a chief brand protection officer, and that I've seen across various industries. And where it doesn't happen, sometimes it sits under the legal team, IP protection team itself. And then a lot of times, in fact, we've seen the CEO himself, CEOs or directors themselves get involved because the issue is so big and involves a lot of divisions.
And this is the chief product officer, you said, right?
Yeah.
Chief, I must apologize. I called him chief counterfeiting officer. It should be chief anti-counterfeiting
yes.
officer. That's hilarious. But it's interesting that you brought this point in. So I think it's a financial decision, right?
It is.
I think they should take it. It is not and the branding and the branding team. I think they would love this too.
Absolutely. So finance very important because when counterfeiting happens, I lose out on my sales because now instead of my product, a fake product is getting sold,
Yes.
which affects my
That's loss of
money, and it affects both my top line and bottom line. Then I'm losing out on brand equity because now when somebody is buying a product, assuming it's original, but turns out to be fake.
In my Mont Blanc case.
Correct.
Yeah.
And you obviously didn't have a great experience,
Yes.
right? But in your mind, you still think it's a genuine product. Hence, now you blame the brand itself. So you're losing out on brand loyalty, brand value, which is going to affect your sales. So financially, I think it's a very important financial decision because one, it's going to help me. Like I gave you an example of our customer. They were able to increase their revenue by 100%. Like now they were doing, let's say for example, if they were doing 1 crore, in the next 3 to 4 months they're doing 2 crores of revenue.
Yeah.
So the impact is such that if I am facing counterfeiting, it's basically eroding a lot of my top line and bottom line. And if I'm able to correct that, it does add a lot of that back to my balance sheet. So financially, I think it's a no-brainer. If
Lovely.
I have to, especially for industries which sees a lot of counterfeiting.
Lovely. Vikas, thank you for laying out this entire product stack of yours and how you can help D2C brands or any brand out there. So if you're a brand out there, do get in touch with Acviss for the simple reason is if you're starting out, you don't want your brand equity to be broken, and Vikas and team can obviously help you. I want to know from you, who are the stakeholders that have to take this seriously? I mentioned that we need to get a chief anti-counterfeiting officer.
Sure.
And you mentioned that it is already happening as part of a chief product officer in brands. But who are the stakeholders who should really take it seriously, and not just the government? And everybody has the habit of saying government dekh lenge. That's not the situation.
So I don't think you can leave it to the government, like you rightly said. I mean, government can help and kind of create that ecosystem. But I think at the end of the day, the brands need to actually take a step. They need to be aggressive about it. And like you rightly said, brands need to start from day zero. We've seen brands often. We come across some brands, not all. Some brands will say, "Yeah, I don't care if it's getting counterfeited. In fact, it's a great thing." What they don't
because
realize,
it's good brand, because it's promoting their brand or something.
they believe the fact that
Counterfeiting is good.
They got counterfeited means the brand is big now, right? What they also don't realize that after a certain point of time, it's going to start biting them. It's like a snake, right?
I agree with you, man. I'm not going to name that accounting software.
Sure.
It was started in the 80s, became very popular.
Correct.
Now they realize 30 years later, the most of it is counterfeited, right?
It is.
And it is a problem.
It's a huge problem. But that's the reason it's very important that brands start looking at this from day one and not when it's actually bothering you. Because when you're able to do it from day one, you'll be able to actually ensure that the counterfeiting is zero, right? Use technology, use simple things. There are a lot of systems available. If it may not
And
be
it's not
from us,
expensive, right?
It's not
It is not
expensive.
expensive.
It's actually quite cheap, and actually not just about expense. I think at the end of the day, it does return you a lot of value because, like I said, if at all your product does get counterfeited, you'll start losing money, you start losing brand equity.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
And now that you're actually doing something about it, consumers are actually happy about it. People know that the fact that you've taken a step towards counterfeiting, they're more likely to buy your products. And we've got calls from consumers who buy our customers' products telling that thanks for doing this. And because of you, now I know that this product is genuine. I can verify it. And I'm only going to purchase this and not the other brand because at least I can verify it here. So that's the kind of mindset which consumers are into. So as a brand, we need to be aware of that. So brands have to be the most aggressive about this because their product that is getting counterfeited, and they need to ensure that they're able to tell their consumers as well that, hey, we have done this and this is how you can verify your product. Governments are also doing something about it. In fact, in India, there was a new regulation which was brought in wherein they've mandated 300 brands to carry some kind of a anti-counterfeiting element on it so the consumers can verify it. drugs that are already being exported had to have this certain amount
the
of
pharma side, yeah.
pharma side. All the drugs that are had to be exported did carry something already on it, because we've seen drugs being exported from India, that those brands being sabotaged by various countries, because if a drug from India is found to be fake, it affects
the
export from
economy,
the economy.
and they will not respect our nation.
Absolutely. So that was happening. So at least for exports it was being done, but we realized even globally, domestically also is very important, right? So pharma, already there's a regulation by the government. Agro, it's 100% for all seeds and pesticides. They need to carry some kind of a anti-counterfeiting technology or certified mark, so that people can verify it. Not just people, even their inspectors, food inspectors, agro inspectors can verify it as well. We've also seen a great initiatives being taken from the Karnataka government as well.
That's interesting. Yeah. Do tell us, because we are in Bangalore and we need to talk Karnataka. So, yeah.
So we've seen that a lot of the subsidies are given to agri inputs, right? Agri input manufacturers. So now government has mandated that any such subsidy will only be given when they can verify the origin. They can verify that actually this was a product which actually went to a farmer. They can scan and get to know that this came from you. And only then subsidies will be awarded to you. So they are ensuring that no fraud happens in that segment, right? We've seen a lot of fraud happens when it comes to subsidies. So government has taken steps for agri inputs, your pipes, your
they've done their job then. Yes. In terms of essentials for the farmer.
Absolutely.
They've done it. Okay. So pharma is very key, because they do supply to below the poverty line people.
Absolutely. And they also, I'm sure there are discussions happening, and I'm aware that there are petitions in the court as well for food too. So your packaged products will also carry.
I'm glad you brought it in. I talked to a lot of ag tech brands, and you're saying they should also start looking at it very seriously. They call it farm to fork, but their brand can be sabotaged.
Absolutely, it can be sabotaged. Plus, I think consumers now want to ensure that what you claim as farm to fork can actually, is it really that? There should be some way for them to verify
origin certification.
So they should be able to get to know the origin of the product. That's the reason we call our product origin as well, right? Plus, get to verify that if you're claiming it to be organic, if you're claiming it to be GI, if you're claiming it to be a certain variety, I should be able to verify.
Genome free and all that,
Yes. So I should be able to verify, and also be able to verify that it's right practices were being followed. Right now, and a lot of talks are about sustainability, right practices being followed. So we want to make sure that that is also happening. So our products help you do that, and that's how it works.
Tell me, fighting counterfeiting. A founder who's just starting up just says, "I'm launching an electronics. I'm launching some seeds. I'm launching a farm to fork kind of packaged label." They have to start thinking from day one.
Absolutely. I mean, a lot.
How do they sign up with you? What is your business model? Should they? You mentioned earlier that I don't have to sign up with all your 6 products.
Correct.
The pricing is customized?
The pricing, for each product, it's basically based on what product you opt for, and then within the product, what level of security you opt for.
Depends number of SKUs.
It depends on all those, but more or less it's standardized. So as a brand, it's very easy to understand. It's basically a per unit cost when it comes to our offline product, per unit plus a SaaS cost for the product to verify. And for our TrueVis, which is our online verification, it's a purely SaaS model you pay monthly. And Origin is a mix of, again, each product gets its own identity, which can also be on a blockchain system. So as a blockchain, I can also ensure that the data is also trustable.
Within a secure system of people with a set of stakeholders.
Absolutely. Yes. So if it's on a blockchain system, there'll be a pricing for that. But more or less, it's simple unit-based pricing plus a SaaS model. Signing up is very simple. You just reach out to us. We will help you get on board.
Yeah. So a 10-member team doing, say, about 10 crore revenues can sign up with you?
Absolutely. We've had customers who are doing lesser revenue than that as well. And because the brand has grown, so well within a short period of time that they've started seeing counterfeiting happening.
How many clients do you have today?
We have close to 80 plus clients globally. Most of them from India, but we've had a good, response from globally as well. We've seen clients MNC clients who are actually using our product in India. They've expanded it to various other regions as well. Testament to the fact that our product works and works well. We've seen companies who had headquarters in Japan using our product. So it's something.
It's good for you. I'm really happy for you because you've invested yourself.
Yes.
You've not raised any money, which is fascinating. 6 years, a lot of hard work. You want to quickly tell us that the do's and don'ts. How do you stay alive as an entrepreneur?
I'm sure, Vishal, I'm sure you also been through that journey, right?
1 year old, 1.5 years old,
Okay.
and it's hard. I just told you about cash flow issues.
Yeah.
How did you handle it? I used to write about entrepreneurship for 20 years, and I realized, it's easy to write. When you do it, it has so many moving pieces, I can tell you, especially taxes, especially managing people, then delivery of quality.
Absolutely. I think as a founder, you need to wear multiple hats, and I don't think you can come across and say, I can only do this, right? You need to be able to handle everything. You touched upon very important points: taxes, managing money, managing people, right? Very importantly, I think as a tech company, it becomes even more difficult and very important that you are able to get in the right people, build the right culture. Even today, I think we do make mistakes. We do hire in the wrong people. I think one quality which I think as a founder we really need to learn is be able to fire people as well. I think that's something which we find it very difficult.
Yeah, it's emotional.
It's emotional. If you have to let someone go, I think if that person is not a culture fit, it's not good either for the company nor for him or her, right? So I think we should be able to call it off and say, I think this is where it ends, right? I think that's something which a lot of us are not good at doing. I think that's one quality which as a founder we need to be really good at. Plus, I think being able to manage ourselves emotionally. For me, myself, I'm a single founder, right? It becomes very difficult sometimes. But I think being able to have a calmer mind, I think doing a lot of these things which people talk about, but a lot of us don't do. Simple things like meditating,
spending time
with family, ensuring that you have their support as well. I think a lot of this really helps and keeps you calm, sane, because there'll be, as a founder, life will throw a lot of things at you, right? You'll be in a situation where one of your key member is leaving, or you might be in a situation where a customer is not paying you, and then you don't have money to pay salaries, right? You should be able to understand how you manage it, be calm, be composed, understand that, there's always a silver lining. And I think that's the philosophy I go by, right? Today might be difficult, but there's always a silver lining. As a founder...
So you just take it easy. You're saying take it easy.
Take it easy, and you need to learn that you'll be able to overcome any situation. I think as a founder, you get that confidence that, yes, this is a difficult situation, but I think I can overcome this. I think I personally have built that quality in myself, that tomorrow if something is thrown at me, today I'm confident that yes, I can still overcome it. It may take some time, there will be hardships. The next few months may be difficult, but eventually...
So stay the course.
Stay the course and have faith in yourself. Have faith in the fact that you can overcome it, you can do it. And eventually the universe does help out.
I want to ask this because I've seen this as a writer and I'm seeing this as a founder.
Right.
When you're running out of money, and you want to deliver quality, you don't, I don't want to be pushing that. I'm talking about personally, right? I've seen people who I advise also, when they're running out of money, they also form a narrative and try to raise money, try to get into debt.
Right.
And that's a cycle that can destroy them. What are your thoughts on that?
So, and
then they get caught in that trap.
Now we've seen right, the fact that there is funding winter now.
Yes.
We've seen how it's affected some of these
Many
companies,
of our friends also, yes.
And there'll be layoffs as well. So one philosophy I've gone by is like, if I don't really need money, I'm not going to raise it, right? So that helps me ensure that business itself is profitable.
So stay frugal, focus on products.
Focus on your product, focus on your profits, and make sure your business itself,
pays for
you. And make your customers your investors, and that's the philosophy I go by. Not saying raising money is bad, even I might raise money at some point of time, but once I've done that, once I have that confidence that yes, even if I don't get money from outside, I'm able to still survive, I'm still able to do well, I'll definitely raise money when I have to scale.
I'm glad you said this. So you're saying while you don't give up, don't fall into the narrative that you need to raise more money.
Correct.
And just make sure that your customers, you have some steady customers.
Absolutely.
And that's important.
So I think your investors will not help you run the business, right? Your customers will help you run the business. Your investors can help you fund the business for some time.
And they'll ask you questions.
So I think if you believe that your customers are actually investors, I think that's the best thought process to have and best mindset to have, because then you're really focused on building a business and building a business that is sustainable and not just being driven through funding, right? I think that's one philosophy I've gone by. So now the fact that I've had that, I now can probably raise money. So some cases, yes, you need to raise money because you're able to then scale.
That's for the working capital.
That's for the working capital or to scale, right? But then not just to help you run the business.
Okay, got it. I got it. These are fantastic thoughts that I'm going to, take away because I've seen you grow and Do check out his website. What's it called?
It's acviss.com.
Acviss.com. Okay, go check out the website. But I can't leave you without asking a couple of personal questions. You mentioned family is important to you.
Absolutely.
Secondly, do you read books? Do you watch any shows, or you love art? Any recommendations that you could tell our audience?
Yeah, so family, like you said, is very important. Having the support is the key. I mean, I think
You have kids?
I have 2 kids. One's a 10-year-old, one's an 18-month-old baby.
Congrats. Well
Thanks.
done. So I mean, I have the same age group of 2 kids.
Okay,
so
nice.
yeah, it's beautiful.
I think it is beautiful, like you rightly said, and I think it keeps you grounded. The family helps you, stay grounded. They help you be sane. I think when you're actually insane, sometimes.
Yeah, we are insane as founders. Yes.
Absolutely. So when you go back home, I think there's that peace, and the fact that your kids want your time and you feel being wanted itself, helps you out. I think emotionally. So having that family support is the key. I think the kids are wonderful, and some people believe kids might help you, make you distracted, but at the end of the day, I think they help you stay focused. They help you stay strong emotionally. That's very important. The second question was about books.
Books, art.
Yeah. I love traveling. I've been
traveling.
in the last 4 months. I think I've already done 6-7 trips. I'm doing one more trip.
India or globally?
So next trip is going to be global, both for business and personal. I try and see if we could do both. As a
and
founder,
you try to understand things locally, how they function
Absolutely.
there. That's nice.
I think as a founder, you need to be able to understand various perspectives as well. In terms of books, I do love reading books. I do have a big library at home.
Any particular favorites? All time, not just what you're reading now. Anything that you just picked and said, hey, this is me.
So
this is what I love.
There have been quite a few books. I think the one which I'm reading right now is pretty good.
Which one?
Called Predictably Irrational.
Predictably irrational. And entrepreneurs are irrational.
Irrational, right? And it helps you understand what drives people, how people take decisions, and some of them. It's a small or a trivial thing, but that drives people's decisions. So that helps you understand and gets you that mindset. Especially if somebody's into finance, I think that's a very good book to read. Like how you can drive people to buy something, and what makes people take certain decisions the way they are doing, right? For example, you see a lot of people buy at the peak of a stock, right? And that's probably people are advised to buy at the bottom out, right? So that you start buying at the peak.
Especially at the stocks,
right?
Yes.
So and the book mentions about herd mentality, for example, and how people
most of us
follow
the herd. Yeah,
correct. So a lot of that happens, and that book talks about
predictable irrationality. And you're right. You use 2 eyes. We are insane as founders, and we are irrational.
Absolutely.
But what we can stop is counterfeiting of our products, and that's where Acviss can help. Vikas, thank you so much for your time.
Yep, thank you, Vishal. I think it was a pleasure, being here and meeting you after a long time.
So many years. We're going to do so much more. Thank you again.
Thank you, Vishal.